It is finally time to make Knafeh.
If you've never heard of Kunefe before, you're in for a treat. If you know, then you know. It's an Arabic dessert with roots and origins all across the Middle East. Melty, stringy white cheese, sandwiched by crunchy, shredded phyllo dough, griddled in butter, and topped with a rosewater simple syrup. My dad's side is Iraqi, and I grew up eating this at my grandparents' epic parties.
It is the ultimate Arabic dessert that is beloved across the entire Middle East region. It's street food, it's crunchy on the outside, it's breakfast food, it's dessert. Oh my god. It has a multitude of different preparations, different cheeses, different doughs. Okay, yalla, let's make the Kanafeh.
You'll need 4 cups of shredded phyllo dough, called Kadayif or Kataifi, 2 cups of shredded mozzarella, half a cup of whole milk ricotta, half a cup of sugar, crushed pistachios for garnish, 2 tablespoons of rosewater, 4 tablespoons of ghee or clarified butter, and 4 tablespoons of salted butter.
I hope you don't mind getting your hands dirty.
Cut the dough into 1-inch pieces.
You can probably find this in like a specialty Arabic grocery store. It probably won't be in regular grocery stores. I found this at a local Jordanian market.
Then toss it really well with the melted, salted butter.
So I'm using 2 kinds of butters in this recipe, ghee and also salted butter. The ghee is for frying in the pan because it has a much higher burning rate since there are no milk fats in it. But I like to use the salted butter for mixing into the dough because that balance of sweet and salty is just divine.
Next, we'll shred the mozzarella. Don't use pre-shredded mozzarella because those have additives to prevent sticking and melting, both of which we want for this recipe.
So this is roughly 200 grams of mozzarella, but it's an approximation. The intention behind this recipe is to just give you a starting point. And then from there, you can customize it based on what you prefer.
Then mix the mozzarella with the ricotta in a small bowl and set it aside.
I know these are Italian cheeses and therefore probably not the most authentic cheeses you could be using for Knafeh, but I am trying to make this recipe as accessible as possible. It will probably be hard to find the most authentic Arabic cheeses that are used somewhere in the Middle East than it will be to find mozzarella and ricotta.
And while we're at it, crush the pistachios. It's up to you how much you want to garnish with, but I really like pistachios, so I tend to crush a lot. In a small pot on the stove, simmer together half a cup of water, the sugar, and the rosewater until the sugar has dissolved and the liquid starts to turn a little syrupy.
Make sure you just have that going on low heat because sugar burns like that.
In a 9-inch round pan on low heat, add 2 tablespoons of ghee. Then start to layer in the phyllo dough. The dough should be even and laid just thick enough so there are no gaps or holes. Press it down gently all the way around and try to tuck in those loose ends around the edges so it forms a clean circle. Now we can layer the cheese mixture over the dough. Be generous here because we want the end result to be very cheesy. Just don't spread it all the way to the edges. Keep like half an inch. Finally, add the rest of the phyllo dough over the cheese and press down again to meld everything together.
So this part's going to take a little bit of cooking intuition. This is ready to flip when you can start to see just a little bit of browning around the edges of the pan.
Now we flip.
This is by far the trickiest part of the entire recipe. We're going to flip it onto a plate of about equal size as the pan. Obviously, it's very, very hot because it just came off the stove, so you have to be very careful, but you also have to be very swift and quick. Sometimes I get this perfectly and other times not. 1, 2, 3.
Oh my god, you see what I mean? Okay, let's try that again.
1, 2, 3. Woo! That was close.
It's not perfect. There's some parts that are burned where the fire was uneven and I lost a few strands of dough here and there, but this will work. So back to the stove it goes. Add the remaining 2 tablespoons of ghee to the pan and plop the Knafeh into the pan as gracefully as you can. Then let this simmer in the ghee for another several minutes and keep an eye out for browning on the edges.
That crackling sound is almost better than the crackling of a fireplace.
When you feel like it's done, Oh my god. Transfer your Knafeh to the serving dish.
You have to move quickly with this part because we have to serve it when it's still piping hot and that cheese is still extremely melty.
So immediately pour the simple syrup over every part of the Knafeh. I don't use all the syrup because I don't like it crazy sweet. I use about 3/4 of this. Then, like the crowning glory, sprinkle the pistachios. Okay, she's ready. The question is, are you? That cheese string, that's how you know you did it right. That's what you want. This is a dish of contradictions. It's sweet and salty, crunchy and chewy all at once. It's familiar flavors, and yet it has an exotic touch that you won't be able to forget.
That cheese with the butter and the sugar. Oh. Since this is a Cook Like a World Traveler recipe, I'm going to give you something that's going to help round out your Middle Eastern experience. I made an Arabic music playlist on my Spotify, which is linked below this video. And since Kanafeh is really from everywhere in the Middle East, the music in the Arabic playlist is from all different countries. It's not just one type of Arabic music. So you've got your Knafeh, you've got your Arabic music. Transport yourself, pretend, make it up, go somewhere in the Middle East for the afternoon. And if you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel and come back. I've got tons of Cook Like a World Traveler recipe videos that will transport you somewhere else in the world. Happy travels.